Okay, we're gonna call the March 13th meeting to order.
Do we have a quorum?
We're gonna get there.
Okay.
It's Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, and the time is 5:05 PM. This meeting is held in person and by interactive conference technology. The meeting will also be recorded on Zoom. As a reminder, per sunshine law, AC members appearing remotely must keep their cameras on and announce anyone who is with them, except for minors, in their location. Okay, we'll do a roll call.
There's Bobby.
Vice Chair Mahealani. Not here yet?
Well, I'm admitting her right now.
Okay, we'll move on down the list here. Richard Beidelman. Here. Tom Keeney.
Here.
Brad Kurakawa. I see you. Brad Nishimoto.
Here.
Gotcha. And Chair David Meyer. And there's Mahealani. So we do have a quorum to hold this meeting. Okay. And from the county staff, Miriam Palma and Coavelo. Thank you. Okay, please make sure your cell phones are off. If there's anyone who would like to testify, please fill out the sign up form and give it to our staff. Zoom testifiers can send a message in the chat to the Zoom host indicating which item they wish to testify on. And we ask that everyone please state your name before speaking. To all of us who are attending here in person, please remember to speak toward the owl camera microphone so everyone on Zoom can hear. And we will now consider approving the draft minutes from February 12th, 2024. Do I hear a motion for approving the February 12th meeting minutes as circulated?
So moved.
Second?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I would like to, remember the, circumstances surrounding the discussion that we had about the planning department presenting the, chair of the committee with a, copy of any applications for subdivision or, zoning change and possibly variance application.
Right.
You know, what that turned into in the minutes is Chair Meyer announces how to find public notices via the county website. Chair requests more communication by planning regarding new land use application in the Hāmākua district. I think that actually was not, or that does not encapsulate what was the deliberation of the committee at that meeting. Actually, I tried to transcribe the actual communications that took place. And that transcription came up more or less with, because I had a little bit of a hard time hearing what was actually being said at occasion. But I think the communication went after discussion, which centered around the idea that the action committee, by notification of the chair, submission to the chair of a copy of or main elements of the application, would receive a copy of the application at the same time that application is submitted and distributed to various officers within the planning department. And then another individual said, I think that we are all saying the same thing, that as the application is submitted and distributed within the department, a copy of that application will be presented to the CDP action committee. And then I think you stated, yes, I would agree to that. Timeliness is what it's all about, whatever is the earliest practical time we could get it, let us know. And consequently, I think what was being stated at that time was that the committee was in agreement that the chair should receive a copy of of any application for subdivision or zoning change at the same time that it's distributed within the planning department. So I would like to ask the question of planning. Should the action committee expect that we will receive a copy of or a synopsis of the important elements of any application for subdivision or zoning change or variance upon submission of that application to the planning department?
Well, I would just say I actually had my first thing on mine, is what you're saying, generally question about that, so I don't know if we want to talk about, do we need to change the minutes, or do we just need to clarify exactly what's going to happen there for both?
Yeah, change the minute.
Yeah,
I would think it merely would be a clarification of what we should expect to happen.
that sounds reasonable to me. Any other thoughts from the committee on that change to the minutes?
Well, what I was implying was that perhaps planning would be able to tell us if we should expect that we will receive a copy of any
Right.
subdivision.
But I think maybe we just get the minutes to reflect what we're trying to say, and then we can do that.
Oh, okay.
Just that way it's clear. Is that? Any thoughts?
I agree with you, Dave. It
Okay.
should be reflected in the minutes.
So first, if we can just make a change to the minutes and vote on that as the approved minutes.
Yes, I would like to move that the minutes be changed to reflect that the committee requests that as the planning department receives a application for subdivision, zoning change or variance, that application be forwarded to the chair of the action committee.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to amend the minutes as presented. All in favor, say aye.
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 We'll get everyone.
Did Bobby hear us?
There's an aye. Okay, so the motion passed. I actually, on my notes here, I have 3 sort of quick items like that maybe we could bring up when we talk about the agenda for the next meeting. Is just a place where I could throw some new things in. So would that be all right?
I think that's fine, David.
Okay,
I do.
all right, so we got the minutes. Approved. And then if if I could get some help, I'm not always able to see that, so if you someone up there is waving, if they want to get noticed,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
just call it.
We got Cabello and now, yeah,
Okay.
keep an eye.
Okay, so this time, the committee will now call for statements from the public. As stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. If there is anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out the sign-up form on the front table and give it to our staff. If you're ready now, is there anyone that wanted to comment now before the agenda item?
I think we've got somebody here who's filling out the paper.
Okay. We have the choice of
Yeah.
speaking now or when the agenda.
Maybe we have
comes up.
Mr. Holmes.
Okay, yes.
If you could announce, state your name and then continue on with your testimony. And you're talking to the owl, please.
Talk to the.
Talk to the owl. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
So bad fun about food, but anyway. My name is Steve Holmes. Some of you remember me as a member of the city council for 12 years, but I actually escaped from the Big Island where I spent many years, including up here in Hāmākua, and I spent a little time when my hair was longer, doing taro farming down in Whitefield Valley. So it feels really nice being back in Hāmākua. My first goal tonight was to thank Heather Kimball, your representative and chair of the council, for her outstanding leadership. I've spent since I think 2014 talking to members of the council one-on-one, using my former council member hat and talking about wastewater. And for some reason, none of them paid any attention whatsoever. So today we have a federal consent decree that the council has approved and sets in place a whole bunch of things. And I haven't got time to talk about it very quickly. One of the things is that in the past, there hasn't been insufficient funding to maintain our wastewater infrastructure. So today, if you look at the report, it's a train wreck. It's in bad shape. Decades have gone by. And what that meant is our coastal waters, our tide pools and other areas, our ecosystems, our coastal ecosystems have been put under threat. And scientists have known this for a really long time. So finally, the EPA has mandated sustainable funding going forward so that that'll never happen again. The second thing is that they're requiring that all of the service areas for each of the county treatment plants, including the one here in Hāmākua, have to connect all of the homes in this area. So that means, once again, sustainable revenue coming in. You can't have a treatment plant and only have a few people hooked up. It's Econ 101, basic stuff. So that's a good thing. One thing that did not get in that really bothers me is that there are a number of treatment plants that discharge to groundwater. You have injection wells down here. And those injection wells are right next to the coast. You literally can throw a stone from the injection wells and hit the ocean. And so the transit time for groundwater to get to the ocean is like zero, I talked to scientists about this, and so the county is facing a lawsuit over the Kealakekee wastewater treatment plant. I was hoping that would send a signal after the U.S. Supreme Court decision on Lahaina that in fact they need to address that, but it didn't get put in the plan. And that's something we need to work on. Every one of these treatment plants is going to be a target of another lawsuit. The Clean Water Act pays attorney's fees to private attorneys that bring those types of lawsuits. So not only do you have to pay for your high-priced attorneys, but when you lose, you got to pay for those guys too. So I'd rather see the money go for solutions. So I think all of you would too. We've seen decades of neglect. It's time to put it aside. Finally get to solutions, quit wasting money on attorneys brought by citizens groups who are just trying to protect our coastal water. So the lawsuit in Kona was brought by fishermen, wine fishermen, people that know those coastal waters all too well, and part of their livelihood. The National Park Service is the receiving waters for all of that effluent that's being dumped into a hole in the ground. And here you've got endangered species off our coast. You've got points, sea turtles, you've got a number of other endangered species. So those waters in peril. So the answer is to quit throwing it away, recognize you've got a resource, do water recycling. That's what the lawsuit on Lahaina was about. That's what the lawsuit on the Big Island, on the Kona side is about. So we need to have a wastewater plan that finally recognizes that we have a resource. It's a drought-proof source of water. It prevents, protects sustainable yield in our aquifers. It helps, it matches the resource to the need. And so in Kona, for instance, we have an ag park, hundreds of acres that are undeveloped, the state ag park, because they don't have the water. So there's a pipe underneath the highway that goes out most of the way. We're saying, well, just run it out a little bit further and put it to good use, and let's grow some papayas for people on the Kona side. A lot of papaya farmers lost their jobs and when the lava flows went into Kona. Well, let's give them an opportunity to get back to growing papayas. There's a market for that. So we can use recycled water to support diversified agriculture, an important part of our economy. Quit buying food from the mainland, grow it here. And so that's really what this is all about. And I think we need to put the heat on and make sure that the plan that's being developed integrates the consent decree, and integrates sustainable water approaches like water recycling. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to clap.
You can clap, that's fine.
What creates the recycling? Where does it come from? Oh, it's wastewater.
Yeah.
And it becomes,
Yeah,
and it's
sorry, I wasn't
recycled.
clear. So in Honolulu, we had a federal consent decree when I was on the council back in the nineties, and we built the Honolulu water recycling plant, the biggest one in the state. 12 million gallons a day, literally billions of gallons of water have been recycled. We put it on golf courses, we.
Like gray water.
Boiler makeup water, but it's cleaned up to a very high level. In fact, it's cleaned up to, you can almost reach that level. And it's economic to do that. In fact, the Honolulu Board of Water Supply has found out it's cheaper to do that than to develop new water sources. When you think of pumping and all of that stuff. So it's actually more cost effective. And the people that use it, the businesses, the golf courses, those types of things, receive water at a lower cost than potable water. So it's pro-business. It's good for them
That's
too.
good. And when will the plan be finalized? What's the plan?
So, Rumsey is gonna be talking about that. He's coming up. Yeah, we just need to provide some input from the public, right? So they know.
Anybody else with comments from the agenda?
So on that, I was wondering if there would be any type of, like buffer zone for like a remediation buffer zone before it goes into the ocean.
So if you treat water to an R1 level, as they call it, for water recycling, it's heavily filtered. New technology is called MBR, membrane bioreactors. Basically, it filters out pharmaceutical waste, a whole bunch of bad chemical waste that if it gets into our nearshore waters can impact that. So you want that out. And then R1 also means that you're doing UV disinfection. So you're killing pathogens. So you don't need to have a buffer zone.
What's
So
up?
golf courses can actually have the sprinkler heads that shoot water up in the air. And because it's been disinfected and properly treated, you don't have any worries about that.
What's the cost efficiency on that?
What's that?
What's the cost efficiency on that?
So once again, it's cheaper if you're a golf course operator to take recycled water at less cost than it is to use potable water. So then the potable water stays in the aquifer and it's available for future generations. And thank you for your
Yep.
time.
Okay, no more comments? All right, we'll move on. Okay, oh, there wasn't a Zoom, no Zoom testimony. Okay, the committee will now move on to business item number 1, integrated wastewater management plan, presentation and question and answer by Hawaii County Department of Environmental Management Director Ramsey Mansour. So I guess we can proceed with that.
Is he going to be here? Or is he going to testify by Zoom?
Gonna be,
Right
Randy's
there.
gonna be giving a presentation over Zoom,
Here,
on Zoom,
on Zoom.
yeah. So let me know.
I think he's.
There he is.
Hello,
Hello, how's everyone? Thank you.
good.
If it is possible, I could share the screen. Let's see if you guys could see the screen. Could you guys see the screen now? Could you guys hear me?
Yep, looks good.
Yep,
And you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
yep.
Yeah.
All right, what I'm gonna share with you today is the cesspool conversions in the county of Hawaii. Let me see if, well, let me see, hold on. All right, you see the agenda now?
Yep.
All right. So what I'm gonna cover today is kind of give you, tell you what the cesspools are and give you a little bit of history about them. Then I'll I'll talk about the driving force that require us, the county constituents and the state, to convert their cesspool to a better system. So what are cesspools? Cesspools are a hole in the ground, as you see, that connected to your house, that allows every time you flush the toilet or you take a shower, it flows through the pipe into this hole. And then eventually it makes it to the groundwater, and eventually it makes it to the ocean. It depends on the geology and where you live. So this is kind of a three-dimensional picture. Actually, you could see on the upper right hand is a cesspool, and kind of gives you an idea of, once it leaves your house, it goes into this hole that end up leaking into the ground, seeping into the ground. There is about 88,000 cesspools within the state of Hawaii. This is equivalent of 53 million gallons per day. That makes it possibly to the groundwater or the ocean within the state. Act 125, it's a state required mandated act where every homeowner that is on cesspool must convert their system by 2050 to either a septic or connect or proper wastewater system that Department of Health will approve. This is the county of Hawaii. As you see, we here in the county, we have almost 48,000, rounded up to 50,000 cesspool out of the 88,000 within the state. So we have a little bit more than 60%. For us, for the constituents and the residents to comply, that means we have to convert 2,000 cesspools per year. So if you see the yellow dots on the right hand of the slide, you can see how dense these yellow circles are. And they are representative of the number of cesspools within our county. What is the driving force? It's the law. As I said, in accordance to HRS 342D-72, everyone must convert by 2050. We have to upgrade, or we have to connect to a sewage system. So in 2018, Act 132 was approved to create a cesspool conversion committee that consists of counties. So there was members within each county involved in that committee. And the Department of Health ended up hiring a consultant, and the University of Hawaii, Oahu, to set a priority and study more these cesspool and impact within the state. So this map is a result of that study, and I included this map because that covers the area in discussion today. But I also included, if you want to take a note of that website, the Hawaii www.hawaiicesspooltool.org. So you could log into that website and kind of access it, and it tells you if you are on cesspool or septic and what you need to do. So this is also the same map, but for the west side to kind of give you an idea of the priority that was set. The red dot indicate priority number 1. The yellow dots predict priority number 3. And the kind of orange dot here represent priority number 2. And like I said, this is the entire map with different priorities. So Hilo is considered priority number 2. On the west side, we have priority number 1 and 2 and 3. And in your area where the meeting's taking place is priority number 3. So who's responsible for this whole thing about, from regulation point of view and the costs and what have you? So the Department of Health oversee the individual wastewater systems, not the county. So septic tanks, ATU, which aerobic treatment units or cesspools, are seen by the Department of Health, not the county. So anytime you need to get a permit to do any improvement to your house, they're probably the likelihood they're going to ask you to implement the conversion now at the time of permit. But that goes through the Department of Health, not the County of Hawaii. The County of Hawaii, and the reason we're doing this, I'll go further down for the why and how. But we're here to support our constituents to try to develop a roadmap to guide the county cesspool conversion. We also operate and maintain the wastewater facilities. So any wastewater treatment facility is within our control, the county, not the Department of Health, but the Department of Health regulate and oversee the compliance of the waste treatment plan. And the homeowner, they need to comply. Their responsibility is to comply by state laws if they are mandated to do the conversion, if they own a system. So what are the options for the conversions? We're looking at 3 different options. One that allow for expansion of centralized sewer service within sewer service area. The other one is decentralized system, which consists of small package waste treatment units, depending on the density of the communities. The third item is the individual wastewater system. They refer to as IWS or septic system or ATU. It depends on, what's good for your area, depending on the soil quality. So this kind of gives you an idea of the option so you could visualize it. This is typical of connecting to a current sewer system where you have sewer collection pipes that are accessible and you can connect to. This is the second picture to give you more of a decentralized cluster where you have, 100 plus homes or 50 plus homes that you could design a low pressure system that could take it to a package unit to treat it. And the third picture is typical of a septic tank. So you replace your cesspool with a septic tank that connect to a leach field that allow you to percolate the effluent. So conversion option number 1, which is connect to a county sewer. So right now we're in the process of looking at the county-wide integrated waste management plan that will consist of the cesspool conversion master plan to the entire county. So we're looking at these options to look at proximity of existing collection system, feasibility of extending the collection system. We're trying to evaluate the current capacity within the waste treatment plant and the collection system, and also figuring out the cost of upgrades. So what does option 1 mean, and the benefits and the challenges to it? So definitely connect to existing system probably would be the best option if we could achieve, because that way you don't have to worry about the water will be maintained, controlled, processed, treated, and disposed of. So the benefit, there's our potential reduced potable water use and increased recycled water use. And that's what Steve Holmes was talking about. You know, the more connections, the more water we could produce, we could put it for a reuse option. And this is one of the benefits. The other benefit is excellent environmental protection. Nobody disagree that managing and treating the water better than just trying to dispose of it through these cesspools, raw sewage through these cesspool is not environmentally recommended. Potential for rapid conversions, because if you have the sewer collection, that's just bring it out from your house to the main rather than worry about going through the whole process. Homeowner would not have to operate and maintain the system, because we as a county will oversee the collection and the treatment facility and maintain it and operate it. And also the potential to reduce the burden of conversions by limiting scope to sewer lateral only. So the idea is, you know, rather than just worried about the areas where sewer lateral, we could potentially convert more. So what are the challenges? Well, the county need to expand sewer system. The cost to the county will be significant. But you know, we're looking at finance options and how we could recover it over time. And also the staffing, require additional staffing and requires support as well. Currently living on an island, it's hard to find certified operators. You guys probably already know we've been recruiting for the last 3-4 years. It's just hard to obtain certified operators. So conversion option number 2, which is the, you know, either build a new centralized facility or existing decentralized facility. So this is still under discussion with the Department of Health to see how that could be implemented. There's the possibility is to connect, if you have 50+ home, maybe Department of Health is going to require to put a decentralized units cluster, as you see in the picture, where you connect 4 or 5 homes together under low pressure system that could take it to a box and treat the effluent. It's kind of a smaller version of, you know, a bigger waste treatment facility. Gila Waste Treatment Facility is considered a large facility. So these type of systems allows you to control less number of homes, but yeah, provide better treatment. The cost of construction and sewer fees, that also is going to be, you know, looked at as well. So what are the benefit and challenges to decentralize a cluster treatment unit? pretty much it shares the same benefit as the waste treatment plant, because in a sense it is a waste treatment plant, but it's smaller. So it has very good environmental protection benefit, and it allows us to reuse that water as well. It depends on the level of treatment these package unit could provide. Same thing, homeowner doesn't have to operate and worry about the maintenance. And this one it broadened the range of funding opportunities, because we may be able to chase more funding opportunities under maybe recyclable water, the reuse funding. The challenges are, become neighborhood coordination needed, because we have to create a sewer district. That means we either have to chapter 32 or chapter 12, where you need 55+% of the people living within that community agree to put a cluster treatment system. So that's going to take some coordination with the community members to make sure that the majority of the community members are on board with this type of system. So because the cost for upfront planning, design, and construction, so if the community agrees or agree to move forward with these type of system, so our finance will be party to this creation of the district and the funding of that system. It goes back to trying to find licensed operators to be able to operate the facility, because now we go into a treatment plan that requires certified wastewater operator within the state of Hawaii. And also we need to find a piece of land to be able to construct and place that facility on. So it will take longer to achieve, because it's got to go through the entire permitting process. Option 3, which is convert to an approved on-site system. So the site evaluation, I don't know how many of you have done a septic tank versus cesspool, but the concept behind conversion from cesspool to septic, you hire a civil engineer licensed in the state of Hawaii. They'll do some analysis to your particular lot. They do a soil analysis to see the percolation rate. They follow the Department of Health HAR 1162, the testing methodology, and they will recommend to you what type of system to use. But you have to have a lot size, 10,000 square foot or more, to be able to qualify for this type of conversion. Smaller size lots, you may need to work with the Department of Health director on getting a waiver to the design, but that'll be between the engineer that you're going to hire and the Department of Health. What are the benefits and challenges for the IWS? Probably that'll be your cheapest option from a construction cost, because you already have a system. If you don't have a waste treatment facility nearby, and here on the county of Hawaii, we have decentralized communities far away from municipalities. They don't have an access to waste treatment plan. Therefore, some of these options may be more attractive to them than try to build waste treatment plan all over the island. It's going to be expensive. It takes longer time, and we have till 2050. So, and that creates a challenge by itself. Septic tank. Some may argue, some may say there's no difference between cesspools and septic tank. But the difference is they are a little bit better than cesspool because they have holding tanks that could hold the solids and then allow the liquid to clear and filter through the pipe to the leach field, and from the leach field it filters into the ground. So it gets some type of treatment, is approved. These type of systems are approved by the CDC and EPA and the Department of Health. You need additional land to be able to lay your leach field. You have to have, remember, you have to have the 10,000 square foot or more, but you don't need the land to purchase. The community need to purchase as a community to put a treatment unit, because to be able to site for a treatment plant, it's going to require larger land than just having a backyard. So people consider that as a benefit. As far as permitting, the homeowner with the engineer, they deal directly with the Department of Health. The county does not have the authority on permitting these individual septic tanks. The homeowner will demonstrate environmental stewardship. So that literally falls on the owner to make sure the system works. You have to have a maintenance record. I believe every 3 years, you have to have it inspected. You have to deal with pumping the septic tank once every 5 years. So that burden fall on the the owners. It become stewardship for the people to take on and be able to deliver on to keep our environment clean and protected. The challenges: homeowners are responsible for operating and maintaining. Remember, I just said every 3 years, you have to hire somebody to do the inspection. You have to maintain the site. The cost, it's between you, the consultant, and Department of Health and your contractor. And also, there's the potential of effluent leaking into the ground. So how much does cesspool conversion cost? For IWS septic, we came up with a range. It depends on the site. It's hard because we have, like say, 60% of the states, almost 50,000 cesspools. So they may differ in geology where the location of these cesspools are. And it depends if you need to import soil to be able to build your leach field. So we estimated between $30,000 and $70,000. It's a site specific. To sewer to a treatment plant, we just finished the Puna facility master plan, and just to sewer Puna district, we're looking at $4 billion to $11 billion just to sewer that area. Unfortunately, we outpriced ourselves because usually when you have development complete in place, it's hard to come back and dig out the roadways and the possibility of lifting homes and try to connect sewer to and what have you become expensive. So right now, most of our studies trying to come back after the fact of development took place to come back and try to build the infrastructure become challenging. And that's why you see that cost. Future plan for financial support. So we are working with, the state and our elected officials to figure ways of trying to find financial support. We, hopefully we could be able to find ways to provide grants and low interest loan. Once we have that master plan completed, we'll have a better idea of what's out there for funding and based on priorities. And I know we're working also with the state to, last year, I believe they set about $1.8 million for the county of Hawaii to assist disadvantaged communities and people that cannot afford, fall under certain income level. They were given assistance, I believe, up to $20,000 or so to do the conversion. So that will continue. Just keep an eye for this website on the bottom. If you want to access the Department of Health on funding opportunities, that website could allow you to access that as well. So the why and how, as I said, let's address it. The reason we're doing this now, a lot of people ask, well, it's a 2050, why are you doing it now? Well, we're doing it now because we're trying to protect, it's health and safety issue, and we're trying to protect the human health. We're trying to manage our precious groundwater sources, shorelines, beaches, reefs, and ocean activities. We need to comply with federal and state laws. Also, we need to provide a roadmap for future development planning. That way, once you have that integrated wastewater management plan, any developers or the planning commission or the planning department could utilize these maps to kind of plan around what system exists within the planning areas. Also to give and address solutions to current conditions, to identify forecasts of capital improvements and work on financial plans in advance. We cannot wait. Like I said, we have to do 2,000 conversion every year for the next 26 years. That's a huge. And that's the reason we're doing it now. That's why the why. And also to create preventative maintenance program and to tackle priorities and identify necessary resources for the communities so they have a toolbox they could access. And how are we going to do it? We already been doing it by working with council members on navigating these challenges and be able to provide for our community members the toolbox that they need. We also were able to finalize Puna and Pahoa waste treatment master plans. We're doing currently a rate study to identify any shortfalls and project 10 to 15 year forecast. And we already secured some of the consultant to do the cesspool master conversion plan, the facility planning, the Gila waste treatment plan that we're working on, and also to revise all the operation and maintenance manuals. And we already have, I don't know, you all probably received notice back in February last month about the public engagement. We had 4 public engagement meetings that already done for the communities around the island. The next round of cesspool conversion plan findings, the next One is going to be more detail about the option, the funding, and the financing, etc. And we planning on having this sometime in July of this year. So we're giving the consultant some time to put the information together so we could present it to you. So that's, yeah, the second round would be the summer of 2024. And, you know, this is the things that we're going to present, as I mentioned. Please note this page, if you could take the information, and you could always log into our department website. Is DEM website is we created, the department created our own website so you guys could easy access it rather than navigate it through the entire county, try to funnel down to the department. So if you just type DM, you know, and it should take you www.dm.com or gov. It should, excuse me, it should take you to our website. I'm sorry. So how to participate in legislative process. We encourage each one of you to participate in the process. There's a lot of bills right now being submitted. So any testimonies in support to these bills, I encourage each one of you to be able to log into the website, monitor the bills that being proposed. You know, and this is, you know, typical steps that I encourage each one of you to you know, use to your advantage. You need to communicate with your legislators, share any ideas for any new law that could be beneficial to our constituents and to the county. Ask for a public hearing, testify. Always repeat as necessary. Sometimes we may not listen the first time, but you know, repetition is always good. Contact the governor if you need to for any laws that could be beneficial to the county, to the community. There's some of the active House and Senate bills I would like to bring to your attention as I list them here. HB 2743 that allows, if it goes through, that will be good because it allows to secure low interest loan grants and possibly set a sewer fees that could potentially help in converting these cesspools either to sewer connection or issue a grant or low interest loan. 1691. This is near shore or likely to pollute groundwater. They're required to have denitrification system. So if you are within a shoreline and you have a cesspool, this bill will allow to ban cesspool septics, and it requires these homeowners to put a denitrification type of system to extract nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus before disposed to the shoreline. HB 1759, you know, that try to accelerate the priority areas 1 and 2, so we don't have to wait till 2050. Priority 1, it's recommended to be complete by 2035, priority 2 by 2040. And 1892 also allows for funding and outreach, and it created the grant program for cesspool conversion, in addition to only accelerate priority number 1 and 2 as well. HB 2264, it's asking the University of Hawaii to do a 3-year pilot program on technologies to do the conversion. SB 2513, it's kind of similar to that. It's just ask the university to do a pilot program on the Water Resource Research Center by the Water Resource Research Center. With that, I'll take any questions if you guys may have any. Thank you.
Let's start with the committee members first, because we're gonna be short on time eventually. Anybody have any questions?
Sir, we've got approval here in Hāmākua for 2 subdivisions of 20 homes each. And at the time that the county approved it, it was approved for septic systems. And those 2 subdivisions are less than a mile from a wastewater, the sewer system for Hāmākua. And I'm just trying to figure out, here we are in this predicament of wanting to get off of cesspools, and yet the county allowed that those 2 subdivisions could be developed using septic systems. And I lived in a smaller subdivision here where I put in a septic system. But it seems like we're not looking at individual situations very much. We're just sort of doing a grand scale.
Well, that's it's a good question, and I think that's what I mentioned in my presentation is the cesspool conversion, the integrated wastewater management plan that we were lacking as a county become the roadmap. So when a developer comes in, you could find their option if they are within the county service area, then they have the obligation to be able to connect to that treatment plan because we under administrative order of consent. And that's the reason we're doing the study. A mile away, you know, our current code the subdivision code allow 300 feet away. If you're within 300 feet, you must connect. If you farther out, the current code tell you to put a septic tank, and the Department of Health approves it as a temporary, not permanent solution. So these developers understand it's not a permanent solution. And eventually that need to be converted once the sewer line gets to their property. Hopefully that answers your question, but it's a great question.
Well, it just seems to me that within the close proximity to the sewer system, the county has allowed for septic systems. And I'm just scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah, that unfortunately it goes back to the Department of Health. The Department of Health currently allows 49 homes, anything less than 50 to have a septic, and that's the current Department of Health requirement. And a lot of development take place within the county. If they below the 50 homes, they fall back on the Department of Health to get or install a septic as long as you have more than 10,000 square foot lot. If you divide it to 1 acre, I don't know the size of the lots on the subdivision you're referring to, if the subdivisions for 1 acre or more per lot, that's an automatic approval by the Department of Health to put a septic, because it's a large lot, 1 acre or more. The Department of Health regulations, chapter 1162, allows developers to put a septic if you don't have, if you're not near wastewater sewer line. The way they look at sewer line, it has to be accessible. So if you don't have a sewer line, they may argue a mile is far away, 5,200 linear foot away. It costs about $1,000 a foot. So they're looking at it as $5 million just to spend to run a sewer, 1 mile of sewer. And so they take a risk. They said, we'll put a septic, but when the sewer gets to their front yard, they have to convert to sewer.
Well, the key here is not near.
It's accessible. The key here is accessible.
So I have a question on the single family home. I'd done a little research at one point about different systems that the state allows, and it's very hard to find out. It's like you have to go to an engineer. They don't list on the state that I can find which systems are available. And it appears that there's dozens of systems that have been approved on the mainland and communities throughout the states that are ready to go. They're simple to install. They actually do denitrification and other things that a regular septic tank doesn't do to a really good level. And there's also a bioreactor gardens. I don't know if you're familiar with those. They've been supposedly testing those at the state level. But I was talking to someone 2 years ago and they were saying the state was testing it. So I was really curious to know what happened to that, where it's something it's a whole different idea than a regular septic tank, and maybe something that a person could do rather than an engineer and a.
There are technologies that the Department of Health approves. They call them NSF 40 or 243 now, or that allows for nitrification, denitrification. The website should allows you to access the approved system within the state of Hawaii. The Department of Health have a link to it, I believe, and the consultant, she or he would be able to recommend to you what's best option for your particular location.
Yeah,
But
I guess that's part of, sorry. I guess that's part of my point, that we have to go through a consultant engineer. And I mean, what if I'm a personal homeowner, I don't know anything about this. I got to go to someone that's going to charge me thousands of dollars to just learn a little bit about it.
Well, it's not only learn, they have to design your system for you. I know.
Yeah, I understand that. But if I'm going to deal with someone, the information should be out there for the public so they can have some knowledge when they go to deal with this person that's going to try to make money on your system. So if I don't know anything about it, you sort of get my drift.
No, and that's the reason we're doing the integrated wastewater management plan. At the end of the report completion, you should be able to put your TMK number or your address, and should be able to tell you your option. And we're going to have a link to the technology that's going to be the technology that's been approved within the state of Hawaii. So we are working on that integrated wastewater management plan to allow our constituents that accessible information.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And do you know if the bioreactor has been approved?
There's some, yes, small individual bioreactors that allows you to nitrify, denitrify. The Department of Health has a few of them approved.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Question.
A question here.
Indicated that, I'm not sure I interpreted correctly what you were saying when you used the term limiting scope to sewer lateral only. Does that mean that in your planning, you don't have at least a strong motivation or directive to extend the sewer mains? But you're only going to be essentially extending laterals in the program of the first option.
Yeah, the way it is currently, if a sewer line comes in front of your house, we bring the lateral to the right of way, and the homeowner carries the lateral from the right of way to their home. And that's the scenario for the homeowners. So they still have to be responsible to bring the lateral from their home to the right of way. So some of the sewer line don't have laterals, so we have still to dig out the roads and bring laterals to the right of way. If we work with homeowners to create a sewer district, then the lateral will come from the main all the way to their home. And a developer would come in, they have the right to extend the sewer main to their proposed subdivision, and then we enter into them with reimbursement agreement. Anybody that connects in between will pay portion of that money to offset the cost of that segment that developer ended up constructing.
Yes, now, the example that was given before of a development that's going in a mile from the nearest sewer. It's not likely you're going to actually extend the sewer main to that development at any time in the near future.
Well, there is, if it's within the count, that's the reason we're doing that study. If it's within the sphere of influence of the treatment plan, then yes, the plan would be to expand the sewer main line, the trunk line.
Okay.
If it falls within the sphere of influence within that treatment plan.
Yeah, thank you.
In expanding the sewer line, is it incumbent to the developer to bear that cost, or is it the county saying, no, we'll extend the line out?
Well, if it's already constructed and the community have cesspool, but within the sphere of influence, we need to meet with the communities and create districts and try to find ways to fund it. If it's a new development, then we're gonna hopefully ask and work with the developers on who's gonna pay for what. And that's the reason we're creating these documents, to give us a roadmap of how we navigate current condition and future conditions.
Well, so let me tell you what my opinion about these two new subdivisions we're talking about. The developer just took the easy way out. He got approval for septic systems. And to my way of thinking, the county should have said to him, look, you gotta put in sewer line. Now, does the developer bear that cost, or do you get some sort of federal funding for it? Because if the developer is going to bear the cost, and who's going to finally bear the cost is the homeowner.
Yeah, I don't have the specific on that subdivision. Like I said, is it a 10,000 square foot subdivision, or is it 1 acre subdivision? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have information.
So I have a question, somewhat related. So I guess my question on this kind of larger scale, and I'm assuming that the DEM has worked, looked at the general plan and the various CDPs, because there's certain patterns, obviously dominant patterns that exist around the island. Basically, we're a rural island. We have few urban areas like Waimea, Kona, and Hilo. and we don't have very many sewer systems. So my question is, with the dominance of the small plantation towns, which is where we have the highest density, and in conjunction with trying to encourage affordable housing, we're going to need to do smaller lots for the density and kind of infill in the areas around the plantation town. And so my question is, have you guys, in coming up with the integrated wastewater treatment plan, looked at that so that, there will be a identified priority of where the centralized sewer and maybe package clustered wastewater treatment plants are?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason we're doing the study. You're right. I'll give you an example. Pahala and Nale is plantation communities, right? We're hit with a consent decree, administrative order and consent by EPA. We have to convert the community to a waste treatment plant, package unit, or looking at options. So, we are, because that was under C. Brewers, so the county ended up taking it over. We now under that consent decree to modify it. So the Department of Health does not approve anything on less than 10,000 square foot lot, unless you have a septic, or if it's less than 10,000 square foot lot, dense community, then they're going to require you to put a decentralized waste treatment plant. A lot of people don't know that we have almost 50 plus private waste treatment plant here on the island. For condominiums, apartment complexes, all these people have their own treatment units if they're not connected to the county system. So it's unfortunate. It's a current law that exists. Some will argue we need to modify it. Some they argue no, we're okay with it. But the current law as exists, septic only approved for 49 lots or less. And you have enough land to be able to leach the effluent. But if you are accessible to a sewer, then you must connect to a sewer. That's how the law is currently written. But I hear you, we've been working with the housing department on these affordable housing. You guys probably know the project on the west side above Costco. We put a sewer line almost 1.5 miles away. We brought sewer all the way to the affordable housing.
Okay, so
Yeah, I got a question.
yeah, if we can keep it 3 to 4 minutes, that'd be great.
Ramsey. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Keone. What's your background?
My background, I'm a licensed civil engineer in the state of Hawaii, in the state of California, and I also carry a certification grade 3 wastewater operator.
Okay. I watched your slideshow. It was impressive, like the graphics. It felt like a pitch deck to me. Felt like are you guys alchemists too? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like you guys are trying to squeeze 25 cents out of every penny we have in our bank account. With that being said, I noticed that you guys were having these conversations because you just said you've been working with county council in the Puna district, which I'm surprised. I came over here as a favor to BJ because this is his district. So he always has to come to just an extra set of ears and a different lens. And so what I'm hearing is it sounds like investment opportunities. Investment opportunities for who?
Yeah, I hope you're not looking at it that way. We are, as you know, we government entity. We don't exist for profit. We provide services to our constituents. Our constituents, and we try to provide the continuity between federal law, state laws. Unfortunately,
Okay. So I'm gonna have to stop you right there.
Well, let's just let him finish.
You said that you provide a service for the constituents. We are the constituents, I understand that. What service are you providing? Because I pay for taxes. And instead of squeezing us and making us pay for these new things, you guys are sending billions of dollars off to Ukraine, this foreign shore, instead of letting our money here locally work for us.
yeah, good point. And I'm not the federal government. I hear you loud. A lot of us maybe understand exactly your point, and we take it to heart. But where I stand, from a county level, there's a state law and there's a federal law that's going to impact the county and is going to impact our constituents. So what we doing is the service we provide is we trying to bring awareness to our constituents to tell them what the laws are to be ready for it. Because at 2050, if every constituents wait till the 2050 to do the conversion, everyone is going to be in violation of the state law, not a county law, but the state law. So we try to help you say, okay, here's your option now. If you want to wait till 2050, that's fine. The county has nothing to benefit from it, because we not taking your investment, as you say. It's not a county project. It's the cesspool is an individual property. It's on your backyard. If you want to convert it, then it's gonna come. It's like fixing your roof on your house. Now you're gonna fix your cesspool in your backyard, and we're telling you how to do it to be able to save you time and money and make it accessible to you.
So,
Okay, so
you
we
said that-
we really need to limit
Okay, well,
3 or 4 minutes
yeah,
apiece,
so
so
I'm not
we
done
got
yet.
more to come, so.
Okay, so, you also said that, you have this background in water management and clean water management and mitigation. And you care about the community, right? Is that safe to say? And these are
Sorry, you break.
Sorry.
I can't hear you.
Okay. So you said, so with your background, you have this clean water and wastewater management background. So you care about the community, right? And us having clean water, right?
Yes.
So thank you, I appreciate that. So why are you guys not looking at Hāmākua training area that sits above our largest clean water aquifer? Why are you guys allowing that to happen up there?
No, actually, they have their own waste treatment plan. It's not a county, it's a federal facility. And I think we need to differentiate between county, state, and federal.
Okay,
That military base is a federal facility, but my understanding, they have their own waste treatment system there. So they treat the water, high quality treatment.
So
But
is
it's
there any,
federal government, unfortunately, you ask, and I could answer the question within the county.
if you guys don't monitor, and there's no oversight from the county on what they're doing in county land and county jurisdiction, there's no oversight from you guys up there. Do I understand that correctly?
The county does not have the authority to monitor their waste treatment plan. That's a Department of Health. The state issued a permit, and that's true to the state overseeing the county. All of the county waste treatment plan under the state permitting. So the state people come and inspect and monitor our waste treatment plan, and they do it to resorts. They monitor that military facility because it's permitted under the state, not the county.
So there's no oversight on anything done on the federal level.
It's a federal and state waste treatment plant. The county, my department does not monitor private and state and federal waste treatment plant.
Not private, because you just said you do private.
Okay, can we, we're sort of, we're getting sort of away from our district here versus, you know.
Well, I came to this district to just give BJ some extra. ears.
No, I just mean as far as
But
Pahoeku.
now, but once you guys brought up Puna, which is my district.
Yeah.
$30,000 to $70,000 per household.
Oh, I know.
On this switching, it's very concerning to me.
Yeah, I've got 2 septic tanks. I know your feeling exactly. Yeah. I'm just trying to move it along so we can get everybody's comments. We really are somewhat time.
Thank you,
limited.
Ramsey.
Thank you.
Any,
Other Ramsey. Oh, I just want to clarify. Which legislators here in our county are you working with?
Could you speak on the speak? I'm so sorry, I cannot.
Yeah, come closer. Could you clarify which legislators you're working with on our county council?
We work with all county council member, our legislative bodies, the mayor, state officials.
So it's safe to say that Heather Kimball is one of the legislators you're working with for our district?
We work with all of them, the very important legislative body to the county.
Heather
So,
Kimball, one of them. Is Heather Kimball one of them?
yes, all of them, yes.
Safe to say. You're us guys, yeah? First of all, I know who you work for.
I work for the mayor.
No, you work for me. You work for everybody in this room right here. That's who you work for.
To the constituents, yes.
Okay. Sounds like you work for the state because you're pitching something for the state. Listen, our county, if you don't know this, Ramsey, you need to go look into it. The state nor the federal government has jurisdiction over our Hawaii County. Only if and when our mayor gives that jurisdiction to the state of Hawaii. Now, let's talk serious stuff. Like, hey, cartoons up there. All of that was just a lie. It's just, you guys are shooting the wind. You guys are just telling people that already bought property, okay? Now they pay property tax to our county, okay? Now, when they want to build something on their own property, they go to our county for permitting. They go to our county for rezoning. So before you guys try to place anything on anything else more on our constituents, district, put it on a ballot so everybody can decide, because in the last meetings, 2 meetings, nobody else in here word. What happened to all the constituents that live on this district? You guys are forcing the hand for them to pay for something that doesn't make any sense. Oh, do you know? I'm 50 years here. We had nothing wrong with our shoreline. Only when of Hawaii or Department of Health Hill. Not even healthy. Makes you guys think that it's okay. State to decide what's best for our county or our homeowner. Right? You guys cannot force. That's unconstitutional what you are doing.
that's the system. I mean, that's a whole other discussion.
No. The whole
What-
process.
I'm trying to understand what is your question. And we are, as I said.
Question was, who you work for, right? Who you work for? You work for the people. This right here, it shouldn't be decided on,
Or,
well, I get only 4 minutes, that's why, yeah? If you're gonna talk, you're gonna take out my 4 minutes. Right? So, they're in the jurisdiction, because no, the state now have no jurisdiction, and it's, you said earlier, the state recommends. If I build a house, I'd rather go with a cesspool, because there was no problems. If there is problems, it only came after the state of Hawaii Water Commission allow people to divert riverways, right? It doesn't make sense what you guys are talking about. Like, if you work for the county, man, you need to look. Everything worked fine before you got here. Only now that the facility needs to be redone, you guys making up all this false information. It seems like our people that already spent money for their homes and their property gotta abide by this. No, you said it's a recommendation. They don't have to do it. If they do issue this thing, who is the law enforcement? Because you know what? You guys are just adding and creating more problems to one big problem already. I'm just here, I get 20 family members live on this side, and if they knew what you guys are trying to do, oh, hell breaks loose. You guys are forcing our people in our county where you guys do not have jurisdiction as the state to do all of this stuff, Ramsey. Are you here for the people? Because you know what? The people think during this next election, it's important that the people that represent their district is actually fighting for them. But you confirmed it for me tonight, that Heather Kimball is on board with making our people in our county and in our district suffer and struggle to live here on this district. That's foolish. Your plan is not going to work. And I tell you right now, I'm in opposition to this. If you don't put this on the voting ballot, you can go back to your boss in the state. Tell them, try again out of 50 years.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment here. It is very, it's not an easy subject, let me tell you that. But what Councilmember Heather Kimball and others are doing to our constituents, you're right, we work for the constituents and we're trying to give you a roadmap to be able to help you navigate through the current state law. And in my presentation, I made it clear, if you guys want to speak out to your legislators, your governor on these bills before it become a bill, because once it become a law, it's hard to come back and argue to comply with it. So hopefully you understand, we're trying to build a roadmap for you guys on current law that already
I
exists.
don't need you guys to do that, Ramsey. You guys are creating
Can we
that.
just let one person talk at a time, please? Thank you. Okay, did you have a?
Yeah, how you doing, Ramsey? My name is Kurt Sullivan. I just have a couple of quick questions for you. And again, I do appreciate you coming to the table. I mean, you must have known this was not going to be necessarily easy, or I do appreciate you coming to the table, but I do have some quick questions and I'm only a 30-second tour here. But is the County of Hawaii request any particular funding from the federal government at this point? Are they requesting any grants from the federal government? What would those grants look like?
Yes, it's a great question, and thank you for that question. Actually, Council Member Heather Kimball, she's driving hard, working with state and federal to try to find grants and low interest loans that could benefit our constituents within the island. Last year, there was about $1.8 million the Department of Health gave away to our people here on the island.
1.8 million, you said?
1.8 million, yes. It was available to assist homeowners that cannot afford the conversion.
It's a $4 billion project though, correct? This is a $4 billion project.
No,
I mean, starting point.
Yeah, this is 1.8 million was free money for the people that apply to convert their cesspool to a septic tank.
But let me just make it clear because I'm a little confused, just to make sure, because again, imagine me like I'm the long guy outside. I'm just trying to catch up to all this. But during your slide, I know you had mentioned this is about a $4+ billion project. Starting.
No.
Just for the Puna district area. Yeah.
No, I didn't say project. Remember, we're not doing any project. I was saying that our consultant did a master plan. Their cost estimate to sewer the entire district is about $4 billion.
It's hard. That's why I was asking, because it is a little difficult to chew that if there's a federal grant for 1.8 million coming in, then the problem I'm seeing is 1.8 million compared to a $4 to $11 billion capital project is pretty steep, so just, and it goes into a couple extra questions. And again, this is just me just trying to take notes on my own here, is this could have obviously have possibly increased taxes as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're receiving federal funding, that means ultimately we could get hit harder on taxation, even from the federal government, if we're receiving billions or even millions and millions and millions of dollars, eventually we're gonna pay for it. But that's just my thought. And you had also mentioned the increase in labor, correct? Because we don't have the labor accessible here on island to conduct this, right? Which naturally, it's safe to say that could possibly increase even more funding, like under taxation, to give back to the county. That's safe to say if we're increasing labor, then most likely who's gonna pay for that in the long run? Just something to think about. I don't need an answer on that. Maybe something that we could talk about, because it is a lot of money, and I know there are a lot more priorities in Hawaii right now, rather than running a tram through Puna. So we already know how that worked in Oahu. So the next question I have is, if the homeowners cannot get funding, do not get approved for funding, or do not have it, what happens to that if it's a mandatory?
If it is, like I said, I think once we have the next study, we'll have a better idea what the Department of Health is gonna do and enforce. It's beyond our authority. That question was asked to the Department of Health during.
So I've been an enforcer in the county. If you look at my name, I've worked for the county as an investigator and enforcer. So I do know what the word enforcement means pretty significantly in the county. So the question I'm having is, by saying you're enforcing it, if you're dealing with people who don't, right now the economy is hard enough, but if you're dealing with people who aren't making enough to even live, if we make this mandatory, and this is just something food for thought, I'm not in any way, critiquing at this point, but if it's already hard enough to buy food, live, eat, breathe, and sleep, if you're making it mandatory, there could be a possibility that they could lose their land, correct? Because if you need a loan, you don't get approved for the loan, and it's a mandatory, wouldn't that be safe to say you're gonna be in violation where someone's gonna have to come in and probably maybe take land? Or again, and if it's not the case, I'm sure someone's recording, so we might be able to get your feedback and say that will not happen. If someone cannot afford this mandatory, I don't want to say program, because you said it's not a program, but this mandatory, development, then it's safe to say you could tell us that they're not gonna have to lose land. There's no case that they might lose their land, lose their property, or be subject to any real criminal issues, right? That's not the case. If they can't come up with the money, and it's safe to say, under recording, it's safe to say, if that happens, they will not be held accountable when it comes down to criminally or lose their land, correct?
All right, let me clarify a few things. The county's here to help you and everybody else.
That's not the question I asked, though. I'm just asking a question. And again, I'm not in any
We just
way.
let him finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me finish my answer.
Sure, please.
The county's here to help you all navigate through it. It's a state law. The state will enforce it, not the county. The reason we're doing this to help you and everybody else to navigate through the state law and the options. We're gonna be here fighting for you.
Can you define what that means? You said you're gonna be fighting for us, the people and constituents, because that's what the county does, but what does that mean? You're gonna be fighting for us, if you can clarify.
If we need to introduce Council Member Heather Kimball, if she needs to introduce a new bill, or the mayor, or all of our legislative bodies here to assist the people of the county of Hawaii to be able to access any funding, to be able to access waivers. Currently, the Department of Health and the state law tells you have to convert by 2050.
Okay.
It's going to be difficult. That's why we're working with you and the constituents now to navigate through it. If we need to introduce a new bills to be able to help you and others, this is why we're here for.
Okay, so this is just the starting, where we haven't got to the point where, again, there'll be any legal ramifications or anything like that. Fair enough then, correct?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully no legal ramification, because the state is going to be forced to either create a waivers or exemptions. They cannot answer that question last time because they're still too early to navigate through it. It's a state question.
Fair.
And I don't know if they're going to enforce it or not, how they're going to enforce it or not, but we're going to fight for you.
And the only last question I have, and I gotta promise that's it, I'll let it be there. But I know they had mentioned the 3 options for alternatives. Is there an open, like, say, for instance, you know, a homeowner does find a cheap alternative option that can work in their favor. So who sets the bar on what those 3 options are? Because I know you said this is our private land. So I have family who lives right here. So that's why I'm here and supporting BJ. Because, you know, obviously, so the question is you had 3 options, 3 alternatives, but all 3 alternatives took a civil engineer and all kind of pretty heavy funding, whether it be from the homeowner, whatever it be from. But if a homeowner was to find a cheaper, effective alternative, just like the gentleman here had mentioned, is that an option on the table moving forward instead of making it mandatory that you have to comply with what the state or the county regulates and says this is what's going to happen? Is there options on the table to say, listen, you just have to have a safe and effective cesspool or system rather than you need to use our 3 methods? Is that something that's going to be an alternative, and who makes that decision on who gets those decisions?
Yes,
If I could,
it is alternative as long as the Department of Health approve your permit for it if it doesn't fall within the county. Yes, the cost is very important in determining the options. The reason we put that $4 billion for Puna, because we're never going to do it. It's too expensive. That's why it's up to the homeowner to find the option that fits them.
So if the people of Puna say they don't want to do it, just like the people, okay, I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt you. I didn't know if you were still, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's up to the homeowner to be involved in the process to determine what's beneficial to the homeowners, to you and everybody else's. And we here, like I said, to fight for you. And there's 80% of this island, the likelihood is going to be selected the cheapest option that you guys are going to.
That's good to hear. And the last question I have is going back to what the gentleman said. I think he might have left, but he was around somewhere. But and this is the last one, I promise. But if that's the case, to get the full feedback from the community, would that be willing to be put on a ballot for a voting?
Once we have the study complete, I'll leave it up to our elected officials. You know, that could lead to policies and procedures, and you guys could voice up your voice once we have it complete, present it to county council, and you guys could drive these policies and procedures once the report is complete. So you'll have the full picture to determine what route you want to take.
Well, awesome. I appreciate it. Just really quick, what was the total cost of getting this evaluation so far within the county? Do you have a kind of an idea of budget of what it took to get this far financially with the county expenditure? Like on the county budget, what did it take to have all these assessments done so far? Do you have a round estimate on how much money was spent to get this put together and the amount of time and effort and money you put in? How many man labor hours or how much maybe funding was put just to get this put together? Was there any information on that?
Some of the funding came from grants, EDA, and the county has to match. Yeah, a couple $1 million.
Okay. Ramsey, I truly appreciate it. I know you're probably ready to get off, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we get the names of the testifiers?
yeah, did we?
Yeah, it's written out. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm just, you know, if you want to talk about doing something different, so it's a cheaper way for people to do it, you could go to the state or whoever needs to be done. And say that we want to be able to do this like we do electrical, or we want to do this, you want to have some way to do this ourselves and then have it inspected. There's an idea for you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so anyone else? No? Okay, well, thank you, Ramsey.
Well, thank you. I didn't say it's going to be easy, but that's a good meeting. Hopefully you guys got good information out of it. And if any of you had further questions, please look me up on the county website or shoot me an email through, you know, our department, and I could be able to respond to it. Once again, thank you for the invitation. Have a great night.
And we look forward to hearing your updates, so.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay. We are now, where were we? Overview of CDP Action Committee purpose and Hāmākua CDP implementation priorities for 2024.
Alrighty,
Oh, it's
I think that's the first presentation by me. Okay. Keeping time in mind, it is 6:46. We're gonna run by this kind of quickly. We'll have questions at the end, so this will be a brief. I'm just kind of gonna run through it. If, you're working on getting the slides up, is that, okay? Basically what's happening is the action committees across the island have been gone through COVID, gone through planning department staffing challenges. We'll have a new team coming on board. We're working on creating the implementation priorities across the districts for each CDP AC. So if we look, we're just going to go a brief overview of our roles, our purposes, kind of just refresh ourselves. I know we have this committee, we have a couple new. Well, I guess right now we got we have a few new members just to kind of go over this and see if we can get the committee to agree on an implementation priority for 2024. And then we'll kind of piecemeal it, set up goals for the year. As a reminder, we have that YPO policy 55 PIG working on the background for Hāmākua. But this is something that maybe the whole committee can collectively work on and might be kind of a flag step for each of our meetings as well.
Well, you brought up at the last meeting that, for example, in the current plan, for example, it calls for sidewalks.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, well, yeah, let me go through the PowerPoint and then we'll kind of open it up.
Oh.
I have some examples. They're just examples. It's
Okay.
for the committee members. It's important that you guys feel connected and motivated to these issues. But I just want to bring a refresher on the documents that we have and the resources. And kind of go from there. I'll run through this so quickly because we still have a few other items on the agenda as well to keep in mind. So we don't want to be out here too late. Respect everybody's time that showed up today. It's a little small. Can I make this one first, right?
Heather, did you want to just, do you have something, you have a presentation you were gonna give?
I was going over a couple
Yeah.
items real quick. You want me to do that?
Or
now?
you part of it anyway, yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, wait, they got it.
We're ready to go?
Okay,
All right, okay.
also on.
Hāmākua Community Development Plan, Action Committee refreshing implementation plan. Next. Okay, so the purpose of the CDP, the Hāmākua CDP Action Committee. To be a proactive, community-based steward of the implementation and updating of the CDP document. This is a community plan, development plan document. Provide ongoing input and advocacy to advance implementation of the CDP documents, goals, objectives, policies, and actions. Next slide, please. In order to do this, we all have different roles to play. So I broke it down to planning department, AC chair, AC members. Obviously, there's more people involved in this process. We even have corp counsel and things like that. But just to go by quickly, planning department. Chapter 16 notes administrative support such as timely preparation and distribution of the agenda for each meeting to satisfy meeting notice requirements, meeting logistics, correspondence, annual reports, website publications, and preparation and official posting of meeting minutes. We do this for all the ACs that's on our website, on our social medias, the agendas you all get. Those are examples. We liaison between the committee and governmental agencies and furtherance of the CDP's goals and objectives. facilitate the implementation of the CDP and service planning resource to the committee and community. In my example, you guys come to us with questions or requests, we work on it, we try to get what we can back to you. AC Chair, this is Mr. David Meyer, newly elected. He's gonna open up all the meetings of the committee, help maintain order, clarity of the process and action and proper decorum. Also, review all matters properly brought before the committee, call for votes upon the same and announce the results. He's gonna authenticate by signature all acts of the committee as may be required by law. An example of this, the comments you guys put forward for the general plan, right? We put together that letterhead, that cover letter, Mr. David Meyer signed it, correct? And then we forwarded that. AC members as a whole. The goals are to regularly attend the action committee meetings, develop priorities and a work plan to implement the community actions in the CDPs. Develop partnerships with individuals, nonprofits, businesses, and community groups, associations to implement the CDP documents, policies, and actions. Transmit project updates and involvement opportunities regularly to their CDP
Let's
regions.
stop you right there for a minute.
Okay, 1 minute.
You're talking about updates. The original plan was developed, what, 6 or 7 years ago?
Yes,
Okay, so,
2018, I believe.
right,
Is that where we're
so
at?
we can diverge from that if some of the issues change. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
Thank you.
Okay. But to keep in mind, some of the issues may change, but some of the stuff in here still may be active and relevant to today's plan. Intentionally and explicitly engage all factions of their community with specific attention to those who are marginalized and underrepresented. And the goal is to invest a minimum of 8 hours of work each month, advancing the CDP implementation process through priority projects and initiatives. So brief, kind of go. Next, please.
Are you asking for discussion?
Towards the end, if you're,
Just go ahead.
if that's
Go
okay. So how do we do this? One of the main things that will come up and everybody will hear about is sunshine law, the big bad wolf, which isn't, I'm gonna say it, not the big bad wolf, right? The goal of sunshine law is government transparency. It's something that is so foundational to this process, and it's important. We are a county committee. We must abide by sunshine, and it's for the people, this law. This is to help us keep that transparency. Yes, it adds a few extra steps. Yes, we have to become more knowledgeable of the process. Overall, for the greater good. Next slide, please. We also follow a modified version of Robert's rules to help keep order in a community, in the action committee setting. It becomes a little bit more difficult because of where we are. We are an advisory. Our goal is to connect with the community and all the members of the public that attend, to give them that space to testify. But at the same time, we do have an agenda. We are trying to get through it. We want to respect everybody's time that they took their time out of their day and their evenings usually to come to these meetings. So having these set of rules that we lean on is helpful to get us to that finish line at the end of every meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, the plan itself. General purpose, guide county actions, guide the policy and actions of state and federal agencies, and focus and guide community actions. Hāmākua CDP priorities specifically protect and preserve natural and cultural resources, address land use and community infrastructure goals, strengthen local economic development. Next slide. So, I have a copy of my CDP. We have online copies on our website. How it's broken down. Sections 1, 2, and 3 of this document provide background information and context to the Hāmākua region. It's very helpful to kind of also kind of lays out our jurisdiction as well, right? We follow judicial districts, not county council districts, an important distinction. Section 4 focuses on protecting and enhancing cultural resources. Section 5, strengthening infrastructure, facilities, and services. Section 6, building a sustainable local economy. Those are the themes presented in this document. And within each one of these themes, you're going to find community actions, county actions, COCUA actions, different objectives and goals. And it's nicely broken down to show this balance between community planning, what the action committee could get the ball rolling on, where the county and the different departments can come into play. Next slide, please. What's great about the Hāmākua Community Development Plan is that it takes it to the next level, and they created what is called the Hāmākua CDP Community Action Guide. This is an essential resource for our action committee members. It breaks down these different sections that I mentioned earlier, and it lists all of the community actions that are proposed in the development plan. They list potential leads, potential community partners and allies, next steps, and other kind of resources and rationale for the need of these different actions. I really highly emphasize that the committee members take a moment to download this document, or if you need help navigating to it, let us know, and to really kind of skim through it. We're working on our side, creating a bit of a matrix spreadsheet to kind of make it a little bit more digestible on our side. It's taking a minute. It's a lengthy thing, and we want to make sure we do it right before we give it off to you guys.
Say something to real quick. I just really just found this. I'm the newbie here. I'm a little slow. And this guide to me is like the crux of the whole biscuit here. It's just like everything is there, lays it out really good, what other community partners are. And I think if everyone just gave that even a second or a third read, it would go a long ways to helping everyone work together. And
it's a very important, you can think of it as like an appendix to the actual CDP document. Very important. Next slide, please. Okay, now I'm just gonna go straight into my examples. We worked to kind of highlight, we went through this community action guide document and highlighted, there's several in here that I felt that the committee themselves have been mentioning topics related. But I kind of just picked 4. You don't have to choose from these 4, but it's just a starting point to see and kind of see if we can materialize something for this year. So first on the list, in section 5.9, improve emergency preparedness and hazard mitigation. Emergency preparedness has definitely been a theme that I feel the Hāmākua CDP Action Committee has been mentioning. In terms of breaking it up into smaller pieces, I think a core baby step to that bigger picture goal is community action number 33, develop and train CERTs throughout the planning area. If you're unfamiliar, that's that volunteer program. I believe Civil Defense runs it. And I think the whole goal was to increase the number of volunteer CERTs in the district. This goes hand in hand with the volunteer fire department and all these other agencies. This is something that we could connect with Civil Defense, see where they are. I know they love to do outreach with this program and kind of get people involved, see where they are in the stages, see where, and if there's a role for the action committee to kind of create throughout what we can develop to make it a goal for the year 2021. Next, please. Another 5.9, improve emergency preparedness and hazard mitigation. So this one, not so much I feel has come up, but it's something that I feel optimistic that could create something tangible by the end of the year. So community action number 9, partner with the coordinating group on alien pest species and Big Island Invasive Species Committee in managing invasive species. This Big Island Invasive Species Committee, also known as BISC, this is fire ants, this is coquis, this goes beyond. This is something that can work with, we could connect with different community associations, neighborhood associations, see what they're doing, see what resources we can help provide. Connect with this, see where they are, see where the AC kind of fits into what they're already doing. That's one up. Next topic. Next, please. 5.14, telecommunications and energy. So I know this is an interesting one. My understanding is from Mr. Bileman, we just got public Wi-Fi in this facility. This is brand new.
Last week.
This was last week.
Look at that 5 hours.
And look at that. So, I think it's, this is 2024, this is the new time, having public Wi-Fi in town centers and things like that. There's a lot of cities globally that are working on these kind of measures.
I might add, the reason it got it done is I badgered IT and said, look, you got an access point right across the
Way to
highway.
go, way to go, Mr. Biden. That's how we're here today. So community action number 41, work with county and private enterprises to bring broadband and Wi-Fi services to the planning area towns. My understanding is there already is, I believe, a statewide, I'm not too sure the level of like a broadband hui that's
There is
working
a
on these,
broadband, right?
working on this, and we could connect with them. And again, see what they're doing, see where we fit in on their priorities. Also, I feel like this is also could provide something pretty tangible by the end of the year. My goal, these might seem like smaller pieces to the bigger discussions we've been having, but I feel, one, this committee has a few vacancies to fill, so we're a little low on manpower. Two, I think if we can get some solid tangible things done by the end of the year, or at least productive steps, it'll help keep that motivation and momentum going. And lead to all the others. Last slide, I believe. 4.7, protect and enhance cultural assets. So this one is a lot more related to this YPO conversation. Community action number 11, document the mo'olelo of Hāmākua using resources outlined in oral history, hula, chant, and other sources. This is a pretty big one, but I feel this could also be broken down. We have plenty of partners listed within the document that we could reach out to. I know that there's federal funding out there for documenting these kinds of things. We could work with even, I believe, previous YPO discussions have worked with the Edith Kanaka Ole Foundation. So it's one of the bigger picture items. You can go ahead. But I think we could create something, a smaller piece of it for the end of this year also. Yes, so here's the examples all lined, bulleted out for you guys. It's just a starting point. If the committee was so inclined to vote on one of these tonight, that would be okay. I wouldn't be opposed. But I understand that, I mean, there's, I believe, over 50 or 60 of these items in the document. And considering the time, we don't have too much time to be discussing and deliberating. But I leave it now open to the committee to have any form of discussion and see how we feel. Next steps.
Well, I think from my perspective, we have resources here in Hāmākua that are being totally underutilized. And I don't know what category they fall into, but I'm talking about the community college, the hospital, and the medical clinic. And it's just, I mean, the community college has been dead since COVID. And they haven't staffed up again, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, we haven't, anyway, I won't dwell on it too long, but I'm just saying that in terms of a community, to me, that's the way to bring it back to life. Because right now, I mean, all you gotta do is look at the number of empty storefronts on Mamani Street to see.
Oh, come on, they're looking up. They got a few.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, we got a coffee shop over there.
Anybody else?
I have a comment. In delineating the responsibilities of the planning department and the chair and the members, it seemed like you assigned the setting of the agenda to the planning department. Whereas
Can we
my,
go back to that stuff?
whereas my impression is that, of course, it is something that the chair and the planning department will want to work together on. But I have, the last couple of meetings, asked the chair to set as an agenda item creation of a pig for, development of a, comments and, recommendations on the general plan. I presume that you, might have addressed the planning department about that.
Yes, I think,
And in that addressing the planning department, did it seem like the planning department was opposed to making that an agenda?
oh, no,
item?
no, I don't think I felt anything like that. I mean, other than just,
Yeah,
I mean, I got a couple items here we can talk about later, but they're just small items. I mean, it's still a work in progress for me personally. You know, figuring out the back and forth with staff and,
sure.
making sure I'm timely in my own getting things, you know, the earlier I can get things coordinated with them after this meeting is always better, and I'm still working on that, so.
Yeah, no, this isn't a criticism by any.
No, no, I'm
but
just trying to be forthright with you there, yeah.
Right, and, you know, but I wonder, I mean, to me, it's in the CDP that we are to make recommendations on amendment to the general plan. And we had indicated that we would have, I believe we had actually determined that, or had brought up the subject of having a permitted interaction group for that purpose. My sense is that we should form that group early.
So you're talking about for when this gets at the point where it's going from the,
Individual comments on the general plan, which incidentally, I haven't been able to find in the Conveo document. I'm not sure whatever happened to those individual comments. But nonetheless, in spite of the individual comments, I think.
Right.
To be, you know,
well, that's certainly something we can do. I mean, if
Yeah.
you'd like to have a peg to do that, and we got people that wanna be on that committee, then that sounds fine.
should we set that on the agenda for next month?
Sure, it doesn't, I mean, doesn't seem like that's gonna be a big item. I mean, as far as length of time, yeah, that would be fine, yeah,
Sounds great. Thank you.
okay. Anybody else out there still?
Well, what are you guys doing down in YPO? Doing the cultural stuff? I just wondering what was going on with YPO?
Absolutely. So at, I believe our last meeting, the action committee voted to create a permitted interaction group that, with the objective or the intent, the goal to look into policy 55 of the community development plan. So policy 55 reads, perform a feasibility study on developing a scenic route from YPO Valley Lookout, extending Hāmākua to connect to Mud Lane at the entrance of Waimea. Improving the midsection of Mud Lane would improve an alternate emergency route to Kukui Haile and the YPO Valley Lookout, and would create a scenic loop between Waimea, YPO Valley Lookout, and Hāmākua. This feasibility study could include assessing public access potential to the Hāmākua Forest Reserve, Kea'e and Hanapai sections. This policy is based on GP 13.2.5.4.2C. So they created this PIG to look into this policy and to see if it's something that the community is interested in pursuing.
And the impetus for that was a fire emergency route. And then using the fire emergency route along with what's already in the document and putting them together and see which of those things people might want to do. So,
Okay, so that was,
Yeah.
that was it for you guys didn't do any other cultural stuff? No.
not for that particular one, no.
There previously
Not yet.
relating to YPO,
Here's the why.
there was another group that was working on.
There was a YPO, yes, please,
With Mahela.
you can stop that, sorry, I thought we would go back into that. But
Yeah, can I answer that for BJ? This particular pig that we put together, was especially because some of the kupuna in 2022 when the winds came and they couldn't get out of Kukuihaili. With the other cultural stuff that you were talking about, it's community members that was brought together with the tour association and the surfers when all the haka was happening about the road. There's a bunch of us that came together and we worked with EKF on their specialty, which is taking our oli and our mele from Wakahiko from the past, bringing it forward, and how do we use that to preserve YPO or to perpetuate YPO in the way that our kupuna wanted to through our oli and mele. Is that my ka'i?
What did you think a song it was, chant?
No, okay, so no, it wasn't a song or dance, but like throughout Hawaii's history, yeah, they never went around and sat in meetings. They always put things through oli or through mele. And so that's how they documented things. So if you look into mele or oli of YPO, not necessarily only YPO, but if you look around in that surrounding area, it can tell you how our kupuna felt, what they went kilo, which is like what they went observe during their time.
Okay, thank you.
Oh man.
And on my,
Okay. I must be getting tired. I'm starting to lose my track here. So we were talking about a pig for, I hate saying pig, for Benedict Interaction Group, for having the, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, agenda for next meeting.
Sorry,
So
B. I get glitchy and then I shut off. So that's how they documented things that happened throughout Hawaii's history, was through oli and mele. So if we go back and look at those, we kind of know how to navigate what our kupuna wanted.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and I also wanted to say, sorry, I have to shut off my video so that way it catches, my voice catches. But we have openings on CDP. I just wanted to pitch that.
Oh, yeah, not a bad idea.
Okay, so agenda for next meeting. I mean, I don't see why we can't we have a motion to put
I'd like to do so.
permitted interactive group.
Yeah.
On there. For
Making recommendations on amendments to the general plan.
right. Is there anyone else that's? Yeah, make a second on that.
I think we're just,
I second.
Okay,
well, we need to make a motion in second and vote to place this on the agenda next month's meeting.
oh,
That's,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. but-
no, I guess we don't really know, so,
No.
okay. So, noted, duly noted. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we got Heather.
It's been a long day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe we need to move you closer to the beginning.
No, it's okay, it's okay. It's always fun to hear everything and I actually, if you'll indulge me, just thank you for the presentation, I want to encourage you all to look at those action items that are identified through the CDP. Because what makes them unique is that there are items that were identified that really the county can't lead per se. That it really does require community action, hence community action groups.
Mhm.
And so, there's always going to be this overlap, but if this body can focus on community-led initiatives that are potentially supported by the county, but are really led by you guys, I think then that's going to make the CDP a really productive body rather than maybe overlapping with some of the other committees in their kuleana across the county. So that is basically a cookbook for what I think would make you guys super effective. Wanted to touch base on the wastewater since that was the main topic of this evening. It was mentioned by Mr. Holmes that we, the council, did finalize this agreement of consent with the EPA. It is a county-wide agreement, and basically it's like when you have an addiction, we're admitting we have a problem, right? So when we sign this agreement of consent, we are saying we have a wastewater problem. We are acknowledging all of the deficiencies in Hilo wastewater, Hāmākua, Kuleimanu, just all of the treatment facilities countywide. The good thing about making that acknowledgement is that it puts on us like a time frame and a requirement to address them, but prevents us from being fined by the EPA right now. So one, we're going to have this solid timeline to actually get things done, right? Instead of kicking the can down the road, which in my mind is a good thing. It also actually sets us up for some of that grant opportunity, some of that funding, and one of the speakers mentioned it before, like what is available. There's actually 4 or 5 different pots of federal funding through USDA, Economic Development Agency, EPA, Clean Water Act folks, and then even some FEMA emergency disaster mitigation money could actually be applied to wastewater, especially when we talk about reusing it as potential for like fire mitigation, to have that on hand. So we are speaking with all those agencies about potential funding. One of the things that came up recently is that a lot of that money came through the Inflation Reduction Act, the Jobs Act. Some of that is just now rolling out. Like that was a couple of years ago where that started being put in place. So it's only now becoming available. So I think having our integrated wastewater management plan be coming through right now, like the timing is going to be good for us to be set up to get those. The other thing I wanted to mention, very area specific. Councilmember Cornelia Kleinfelder is working with DEM on a tire pickup. So a day that people can just bring in any tires that they find. We are trying to coordinate that so that one of the sites will be the Hāmākua facility for people to drop off. So as soon as I have any information about what day that will be, I will make sure to share that and ask you to share that around in your community so we can make sure that folks are bringing all those tires that are.
And that's a one-time event.
It's going to be a one-time event. We'll see how it goes if we can support more of those. I have a feeling it's going to be very, very popular.
And then a community action within the community action guide is looking and clearing up like dump sites around the district.
Perfect. Yeah, great. So that is going to be happening. Wanted to mention that the EA, environmental assessment for Papaloa Gym, is underway, and the time frame is going to be extended on that. So anybody that is in the area, Dave, or people that in the community, they still have an opportunity to have an opportunity to comment on that EA. A couple of meetings ago was mentioned the PONC negotiation around the Pepe Keo lot south of Huhonua. That's the 30-some acre. And there was some misinformation at the time. The county has not agreed to buy it. We've agreed to get into negotiations about that. And so there is concern that the site is potentially contaminated from the historic sugar mill activities. we will not be purchasing it if it's contaminated. So that is, the negotiation is underway, but an environmental assessment will need to be done that is paid for by the current owner, not the county. So don't worry about that. But if it is found to be contaminated, we will not proceed with that county pump purchase.
Is that the piece of property that Bobby made a presentation?
Bobby.
Well,
Yeah, Bob mentioned that. Yeah, that's the one. It's kind of shaped like a saucepan, like, if you will. It's got a big chunk and then a long handle. But it's 30-some acres. Yeah, Bobby.
It wasn't that one, no, it was about the,
You were talking about the mill
No.
road. Yeah.
no, it wasn't me.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, just want to give you the update that we're proceeding on the negotiation, but everything hinges on the EA. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you, I did bring the county budget. So this came out just recently. March 1st is when the budget is due from the mayor to the council. So we're looking at a total balanced budget of $888,546 as the total budget, which is a 6.6% increase over last year. I brought the operating budget and the capital improvement budget. So those are available online, but you guys in particular might be interested in the capital improvement side because that's a lot of the facilities. Keep in mind, the capital improvement is the wish list. Those are things we want to see funded, but are not necessarily guaranteed to be funded. Happy to answer any questions about that, but for you guys, if you're interested, the budget hearings start April 9th. What is the Monday, the second week of April? Is it the 9th, 10th, 11th? Yeah, 9th, 10th, 11th are the budget hearings. They will be in the Hilo chambers. The budget is the biggest tool of leverage we have in terms of how we impact policies and execution of those at the administration level. So I encourage you to participate. You know, last year, some folks from Ohualoa came to talk about emergency preparedness, and their participation led to additional funding for CERT teams and community preparedness. So encourage you to participate. It's surprising how few people do, and it's like the biggest place to have an influence. And then final note, wanted to mention, Mahealani mentioned YPO. So there is a bill going through the state legislature. It's HB 1856. I think I mentioned it before, but it is a proposal that would give the counties the authority to actually create a management plan around roads like YPO. It made it through this house and it made it through crossover. So we're waiting for the hearings in the Senate. If you would like to help that, I would ask you to call Senator Lee, Chris Lee, and Senator Lorraine Inouye, and ask them to have the bill heard sooner rather than later. But it gives us, so as was mentioned, we went through this process with EKF using the Mele and Ole to come up with Kapu and Kanawai that have a historical basis. Then this plan, if this bill were to pass, would allow us to create a management plan based on those Kapu and Kanawai. So would really like to ask for your support on moving that forward. That's all. Thank you. I'll take questions.
Great. I have a question for Heather. When is our group meeting again? This Mahealani. Sorry, gotta shut off my for the follow-up. And secondly, there's been no communication about the mayor's committee to do with YPO. What's going on with that?
Mm-hmm. So the mayor is that whole committee is Cyrus's, and I can ask him to send out some sort of communication. I don't know what is happening with that. We had talked about getting together at the end of January. It is now the beginning of March. I don't know how that happened, but I want to get together very soon because of the way that this bill is progressing. There's been some changes. I've also had some conversations with KS that I need to share with you folks and Parks and Rec as pertaining to like the permitting, the possibility for permitting down the road. I did email out and I think did I email it to you? I hope I did. The update from DPW on what they're doing now, the survey and all that stuff. I didn't include you in that. I thought I sent it out to the whole working group. Check your spam. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was,
yeah, I didn't
it
get
was
that one.
about a month ago now. I sent out the update on what's gonna happen with the road work is what they shared with me. So they should,
Okay.
you should have seen people out doing surveys recently.
I've been
Yeah.
putting it
Yeah, okay. You've been putting stuff out too?
next door.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if she's tied into that, but I will get that meeting scheduled and apologies that I'm a month and a half behind, but
No,
I don't know where the
actually,
time goes.
It works to my benefit because I just got back at the middle of February, so
All right, well, then I won't feel totally terrible about being overly busy. We have to pick and choose.
Heather, the county will not purchase land that has toxic remnants on it.
That's correct. Through the
yeah.
PONC program.
Through the
Specifically,
PONC
yeah,
Program,
Yeah.
I see.
yeah, and that's
The-
prohibited.
And not even in the case that the study is done to determine what remediation would need to take place,
Mhm.
and then subtracting that from
I tried to make that argument that, you know, maybe we should purchase stuff that we would remediate and preserve, but it was made very clear to me that PONC is for preservation and not remediation. And so with so many properties out there that could be purchased
Yeah.
under PONC, they want to focus on the ones that are pristine and can be protected. Which is unfortunate, but I understand, right? There's a limited money
Yeah.
in there, so. We'll find other ways. We'll keep working on it if it doesn't work, but we'll see. We'll see what the EA turns out.
Any update on the short-term vacation rentals?
Oh, yes, thank you. The planning committee, Windward Planning Committee hearing will be April 4th at 9 o'clock, Hilo Chambers. So that's the first set of hearings between the two planning commissions. I encourage folks to participate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What did you say was the budget again, Heather? For
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 the
this year?
full
What is-
county, the proposed budget is 888,082,546.
Is that a normal budget for us or what?
It's an increase of 6.6%. Now, if you were, we are required to balance our budget, so the revenue has to match the expenditure. So the 888 million is based on our expectations from collections around real property tax, the money that comes in through the highways fund, the GET, various grant programs. When you add all of those up, we have to make the expenditures match that. So it is an increase, but it probably within within inflation as it's been over the last year plus. Yeah.
Okay, and how much of that do you think would go to homeless or, I mean, 880 million, you would almost think, wait, all our problems are done. We ain't gonna have no homeless, no crime,
Yeah.
you know, that's a lot of money.
It is,
Right.
yeah,
So-
and that's why I actually brought the budget books, because I think it helps to look and see where those expenses go, because surprisingly, in a government and in an island our size, that doesn't go as far as you think it would, because we have the biggest problem we have on this island is great big island, teeny tiny tax base. Like, we have more roads, more fire stations, more wastewater treatment plants per capita than the other counties in the state. Specifically to your question for homelessness, there's $10 million that is a special fund that we created a couple of years ago. There's also a housing production fund, which I believe is 11 million this year. So those 20 million
Is the budget online?
Yes, it is online, but I just brought the physical copy, because it's kind of nice to be able to flip through, but yeah, the budgets are online, through the Department of Finance's webpage. Yeah.
Does everybody feel the homeless is getting worse or what? Kind of around the island?
We just had the, something called the point in time count in January.
Uh-huh.
So as soon as we get, those numbers should be published very soon. That'll tell us exactly year to year, like what changes there have been in the number of homeless individuals, how many families, how many singles,
Yeah.
you know, all of that. And so my just sort of anecdotal
Yeah.
observations, I do think there are more, but I'm waiting till the point in time count to find out, because things have happened, like, you know, that whole area by the airport that they just leveled all the trees recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were a lot of people living in there. So where did they go? So maybe we didn't see them before, but now they're in downtown Hilo, so it looks like there's more, but we'll know when we get those numbers in the near future. Late January was when they did the count.
Okay.
I have something that's not related to Heather.
Okay.
Which is first, I wanted to thank you for your ideas about things to do. And I also wanted to report that Helco did clear the trees on Kapehu, and so you should let them know that we do appreciate, they did follow up as they said they would, so that was great. I think that maybe on the agenda, some idea of what you want to do over the year is a great idea. But I think that this committee is about implementing the plan as a whole, not just the community, not just things that are led by the community. This is not a community organizing group. You few people don't have the capacity to do some of the things that I know you would love to see happen. But I think maybe taking one thing that we all know across the district that are really important. And I think emergency is one of those things. What are we going to do? Because with the climate change, the fires, everybody's concerned about that. But also, I think that most people are really concerned about zoning and development. Because one of the biggest principles is keeping Hāmākua agricultural. So we do have to keep track of that. And I really do think that bringing those proposals here is of critical importance. Yeah, so got to think about what your capacity is too. Thank you. But to set some priorities would be great. That would make it easier for people that want to participate to kind of keep track.
All right, thanks, Meju.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Meju,
Yeah.
we have openings on the CDP.
You're here every time.
I've been badgering here
Because
forever.
I feel like the public has to participate as the public. But I'm trying to recruit some other people. I have a few people in mind. Thanks. We have 3 openings. We have 3 holdovers. We printed a bunch
Lots of flyers.
flyers. Take them with you.
Okay.
Everybody, please hand them to your friends and family. Leave them at the shops. Put them on the window. Blast us on your social media.
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Let me ask one thing. Next meeting, can the agenda from the planning department, could we just tell you the progress on sending reports to committee members from planning applications?
Okay.
Something about whether you can do it, whether you don't want to
I
do it,
think-
whether you, whatever, just something.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Also, one more announcement that we missed. I want to let the committee know, in case you didn't hear yet. We have, the Hāmākua CDP Action Committee now has been newly assigned a new Deputy Corporation Counsel. Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell is now, your assigned attorney. So, Sinclair, I think he mentioned it at the last meeting. He was awesome, he was great. Now Jean will be in charge of all of devising all the AC. Because that change has been made within.
And then maybe for the next meeting, if we each brought a list of 3 or 4 things that we think that are important.
Planning will be sending out a Google form to the action committee members, with, for you to fill out, anonymously if desired, what priorities you'd like to see for 2024. So we're gonna work on that when we get back to the office. You should have it relatively soon in your inbox. Please feel free to reach out to us. If you, as always, please feel free to reach out to David or CC us as well in terms of other proposed items or any other questions.
Well, if I want something on the agenda, I've been sending it to David.
Yep, that's your guy. Yeah, we've been meeting with chair and vice chair before publishing any agenda, posting any agenda, going through the different items. So if you can get it to them sooner rather than later, so that we can get the agendas posted even sooner, so that we can give more notice to the community and can get spread out earlier, that would be great. So we're gonna have a relatively tighter deadline on this Google form, but as always, please also come to the meeting with other and anything. I'm sorry. I feel like we could-
David?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a question, I spoke with Mariam and I also had sent to you in terms of YPO asking about what planning was thinking about as far as a Vahipana type of mechanism or strategy, so that we can, like right now, we're just doing a lot of community outreach with the YPO. We don't really want to duplicate, but the committee, in terms of community outreach, is going to be involved by, being the liaison with the community. But I wanted to find out more about what, if you have, strategies as far as what is going to be the enabling, mechanisms for protecting YPO as a Vahipana. And then obviously, because coming out of that will be, the management plan for, cultural resources as well as water management, all of that stuff with the Loikalo and all of that with the, so I guess I'm sort of just thinking ahead, and I'm also wondering about, is there anything in the planning department's budget or R&D or anybody to enable, that because otherwise we just, spin our wheels with just, like getting community input, but nothing really, it's a combination of county action as well as the community, but then, that's what, we're here to kind of,
Well, Brad, also because, all beaches in Hawaii are public. And that's a state mandate, isn't it? So any policies that evolve.
yeah, Richard, we already, I don't want to rehash this, but this came up and is in the Hāmākua CDP if you read it. Okay, so it's there. It was something that was very much discussed throughout the CDP. The authoring of that, and it was very, and so that's why I keep on asking about it, because we have the mayor's committee and R&D and all this kind of stuff. I want to see movement from not only our committee but also the county to start laying that foundation.
Seems to me that what Heather has described as a state development with legislative potential for.
Right, that's one that will help.
Yeah.
Can I add to that? All beaches in Hawaii are public access. However, it's only up to the high tide mark. Anything beyond the high tide mark, private property, is what we're dealing with, like down at YPO. So that's why he keeps bringing that up, because as people of Hawaii, that's our icebox. That's our food source, and so that's why it came up so much, especially in Hāmākua, because we have prime land here. So just wanted to put that out there and make it clear.
Okay, I'd like to throw something out there. Someone that's been on this committee or wants to just get in contact with me, maybe we sit down and I can get a little educated on what's going on there. I would appreciate that.
I think Brad's been really involved.
So let's just throw that out there. Okay, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
Second,
Second.
done. How's that?
even take a vote.
Thank you, everybody. Aloha.
And
Anybody wants any of these to put around town?
You're gonna send me a beer cake.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Well, since here.
Come on, someone's gotta take some.
Can I ask you both if they were separate? And paper here, and paper signature.
On this.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So.